All right, so welcome everybody to the Glenyce Show with myself, Glenyce Hughes. And this week I have a very, very, very special guest that I have just been adoring from afar, although we did get to have lunch in Rome in March, so I'm so grateful for that. So this is my sweet friend, Ivana. Am I saying that correctly?
I love the way you say it. Everybody says it differently. Nobody says it the way, like I come from Czech Republic, obviously, so nobody says it correctly. And I love the way you say it. It sounds like really strong. I love it. Let's go with that.
Let's go with that. So, the way that I say it now, as I heard myself say it, it's like, I wanna have bigger classes. I wanna.
And Dane made this joke once in his SLP class, like, I wanna, this is so funny. You should use it when you walk in a restaurant. I want a favor. Which was hit on my second name, which is Faber, It's funny.
It is very funny. It's very funny. Hey, I think your microphone is clicking on your necklace.
Oh, okay. How do we do that?
Awesome. Yes, guys. Sometimes we got technical stuff that we have to deal with on the show, but I think I gave you a little hint of what Ivana and I are going to be talking about today, which is all about how to increase your classes, how to have larger classes, how to be an invitation to more people. And I listened to a call. I purchased it and I wasn't able to join live with Ivana and Alan a few months ago, I guess. I don't even know when it was.
Yeah, it's a while ago, yeah.
Yeah. And I was so inspired by the invitation that she is with class creation. Now, Alan also is, and Ivana and I totally adore Alan. I've had Alan on the show before. And in the blog on my webpage with this show, I will have the link to Alan's webpage, to the show that him and I did together. We'll also have the link and information about Ivana too, so that you guys can contact her. But it was such a phenomenal invitation. It has always been on my mind to have her on the show, and here we are. So thank you so much, honey, for saying yes.
I was so excited when I got the invitation.
Oh, awesome.
Thank you.
Yes. So tell us, Ivana, were you always into consciousness? Like how did you get started on this path?
It's really funny. I didn't have a clue that I was onto consciousness, but I knew every modality that I came in contact with was about like, so this is how it's done and this is the right way, and I wasn't able to copy that. So I wasn't into any kind of conclusions. I wasn't into any kind of judgments, but I didn't know what was I into. And so the moment I came in contact with access consciousness and, like empower people to know what they know, that did it for me. That was like, I was totally sold. And then I didn't have to, tell people like, this is the way things are and this is absolutely not correct. So I was so happy that finally I found something that totally made sense for me, my world. So I didn't know that I was into consciousness, but obviously that was what I was looking for.
Yes, cool. And so, I know you shared with me when we had lunch about kind of how you started as a host and, then went into your own classes. Can you share that with the listeners? And again, your microphone's clicking a bit on your...
Yeah, so let's do it like this.
There we go.
Let's start like, that's for the technical stuff. And then, when I started, I did a bars class, and at the end of the bars class manual, there are those requirements to become a facilitator. And I read it, and I was like, no way I'm ever gonna be so far. I better forget it, and start like inviting people who are capable of doing that. So I didn't believe, like 6 years ago, I didn't believe at all that I could become certified facilitator in less than 10 years or something. It totally didn't come to my mind that it was a possibility for me. That's how pathetic I was. I was at home with 2 kids and I didn't have any source of income, and I was just doing, like bar sessions for the fun. And I actually started to host as a hobby. I didn't even want to, at first I didn't even want to, money for it, because I was like, I want to take all those classes and that's it. So obviously that's like far. I left that far behind, but that was the and I guess that's also that there is also inspiration in there, because I didn't even think that I could create my own classes. I didn't even have any clue that that was a possibility for me. But I saw that there were many people interested in access consciousness, and I saw a huge potential in the area here, and I saw that something could be created. And so I just asked what was the possibility, and some people popped, and I invited them, and that's where I had to start to learn how to create. Actually, when I first invited people, I thought I will invite them and then they will sort of instruct me how we how we roll, but that wasn't really the case. So I just started to create. And I love it. I must say, I still really love to create classes. It's something that really makes me alive. It's something that really makes me going. It's something that really makes me happy to jump out of the bed with in the morning. And also when you ask me, I was like, what is it with me and creation of the classes? And I realized that every class to me is like, I'm mother of 2 children, and every class to me is like a child to me. That's the kind of responsibility I have with the class. It's like, I'm not letting you down. I'm here for you. It's the kind of connection that you have with the kid. And I had it with the classes that I hosted. But I think for a facilitator, it's really important to have that too.
Yeah, absolutely. So can you, and you may not be able to, because I know, especially with using the access consciousness tools, we can't always pinpoint when something changed, but did you ever kind of work on changing, not believing in yourself, or did it just happen just as you were doing all the classes?
Yeah, my body was really showing me every time, like it was for a long time, it was really light to host other people, as long as it was contribution, for me in growing my consciousness and in growing my awareness and in growing my capacities. My body was totally okay with it and really happy to do it. And at a certain moment, I was sitting at the back of the class and I was thinking, I should be sitting in front. My body was telling me like this, hey girl, what are you doing? This is not light at all anymore. You should be facilitating. And that was, when I started to listen to the awareness, it was actually really the awareness of my body. Like, look, now you are going to sit in another class for 4 days. What's is this still light for you? And it was total fun in creating it, but it didn't add anymore. And so I changed.
Yeah.
It was like that. I don't think a lot in creation, but I do listen to what my body is saying. So I'm often behind, I could have thought about it, like, hey, this is 1 and 1 are 2, but I'm not like that. I'm a bit slow.
Oh, and remind me how many foundation classes you hosted. If I remember, it was quite a high number.
Yeah, like I think I hosted 18 or between 15 and 20. I hosted before it clicked. Like, hey. It might be time. But it also really is a testament again to the tools from Access Consciousness, because sitting in that many classes, and I know sometimes people think that's ridiculous. If you take it one foundation class, why would you ever take another one? And yet Ivana and I know the value and what changes in a foundation class. Whether you're facilitating or you're receiving the class, it doesn't matter. There's so much that changes, that every time there's a clearing ran and you say yes, then this occurs. If you look, I mean, she went from going, I'll never do that, I'll
to,
never be
oh,
able to do that. It's like it's 10 years.
yes, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for anybody listening who has that point of view about themselves, where you can't do it, you don't know how you could, you'll never be able to do it, whatever that all might be, we just destroy and uncreate it all and return it to sender with consciousness. Right, wrong, good, bad, online, POD, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Now, I don't run that clearing because I think everybody should go out and facilitate. For some people, hosting is really where they thrive, and that's just delicious. There's no wrongness in that whatsoever. So let's run it this way. For anybody who's decided they can't host, they don't know how to host, it's impossible, they could never create a class with a facilitator, we just destroy and uncreate all that and return it to sender with consciousness. Right, wrong, good, bad, online, POD, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Cool. So tell us in terms of, and I know, and we talked about this earlier, how a lot of the questions I'm going to ask you, probably the correct response would be, Glenyce, I just follow the energy. I get that. and I get that.
Short show.
Very short show. We would have so many commercials to fill up the space. So just give us some, some ideas around like what is it that when you get invited to a class and it's light for you to say yes to go somewhere, be hosted, facilitated class, what is kind of the process? Like what questions do you ask? What energy kind of, I call them energy tricks, magic tricks. What is that process for you?
So it's exactly what you said. If it's light for you to go there. So that's really the first step. I see different friends facilitators who they get invited, they go, and it's not like that for me. So that's really like number one, to have a look. Is this even light? Is this a person who's inviting me because he or she wants to have a free class and they don't know anybody and they never have created anything, and they are just asking me to go there to get a class? And is this going to create something, or is this going to create a class with 2 people in it and me facilitating whole weekend, And so when it's not light, I'm not going, and I'm really clear with the person and I say, look, it's really great if you first take a foundation class to get a clue how to create, and then we can create something. Because I'm not interested in creating classes for 2 people, obviously. And so if it's light, then I also I have a chat with the host. So what do you like about creating a class? What is how do you create? What is the way how you create your own classes, and what is really light for you? What is really fun for you? What part would you like to do? When I was hosting, I was basically the facilitator would tell me the date and the team, and I would create the whole class. So I know I can do all of it, but I'm not going to do all of it for my own classes, but I'm willing to take over everything that I have to do that the host isn't capable of, or isn't willing, or isn't able to. So that's, as a facilitator, when I say yes, it's my baby. So I really wanna be there, and I know that I will be there, and I know it will be really frustrating if things don't get created. So I have a look with the host, and some of them are really great with graphics. Some of them are really great with text. Some of them are really great with connecting to a lot of people. Some of them are excellent in finding all kinds of technical support, like massage tables, arranging venues, discounts for venues, yummy lunch, or all kinds of stuff. But everybody is great in something else. And so sometimes when somebody connects me and I know that they are great in, creating graphics and writing text, but they don't know that many people, I ask, would it be fun for you? Would it be light for you to add a person? Or would, or the other way around, somebody invites me and I know they have a huge network, but they are not somebody to promote on social media and to create their stuff. Would it be light for you to add one of my other hosts who is excellent in writing text and promoting? And is this something that we could, create with the 3 of us? Would it be a contribution for the class? And mostly people are really happy to co-create. so that's how you get to create classes that are, that are like visible. And what I also really like is that everybody gets everything, all the bodies get happy. And so yeah, I'm just asking, like, will there be everything, and what can I add, or who can I add, so that so that we create like whole picture in advance. Something like that.
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
It totally makes sense. So just give the listeners an idea. So you have, obviously, the connecting part is very important in class creation, having somebody who has, and not necessarily do they have to have a large network, so to speak, I would say, and you might disagree, but they just, the being able to connect with people, like actually be interested in phoning people and talking to them. And, if they do have a list, sending out information about the class and that sort of stuff. So we've got the connector, then you've also got graphics and text.
Yeah, that's really important. You need it for creating flyers, but you also need it online. So that's really, for me, that's really important. And I mean, somebody who is going to take care of all the technical details, like contacting venue. It's like, I think those are the three things that you really need. And actually, with my host, I have meetings like almost once a week, once in 10 days. We connect like on a Zoom, and then we discuss what is it that we can post to the next week. What is it that we can, how is the venue? How are the blankets and sheets, and did we send out all the emails? And I forget all the time, so I need people to think about it. It's like one part that I did when I was hosting, and I forget all the time when I'm facilitating. So people like next week I'm doing foundation class in Czech Republic, and people ask me what's the address of the venue. We forgot. Oops. So you can create almost everything, but you have to stay connected, and you have to stay and at least that's the way I do it. And again, I said I was hosting for people who would give me date and who would give me the theme of the class, and it was my problem how I create it. But the way I create and the way I like to create is really to get to stay connected and to stay communicating and to get feedback, because that way I'm also always on the energy of the class. And when the host, gets like, what's the English word for it? Like contracted. Yeah. Exactly. Thank you. Then I know I have to get in there. I have to have a look what we can change, what we can, what questions can we ask, and what can we do with the energy so that it opens up again.
Yeah.
So and you don't know this if you don't communicate, then you don't have any idea.
Yeah, it's so true. So do you have like just one-on-one, or like each team, each class, or do you have one group get together and all of your hosts and all of those teams are together all on the same call, or or is it different all the time?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I have like several classes that kind of contribute. Often I have like several classes that kind of contribute to each other. Like I have body process class and clearing evening that leads to the foundation in that area. And so there might be few hosts, and then we meet up together. And then I have small creations that are like for people to get to know that I exist, and they are not necessarily connected to anything, and I might have another host for that. That's totally like random and not yeah, I don't, as I said, I don't really think a lot, so it might not sound really logical, but I have all kinds of creations going, and so some hosts are just like for one project that they like, that they are really great in, and they don't need to arrange anything other than posting for this one call for, let's say, 10 euros, and
yes.
So that's it's different, and then I don't include them necessarily on the call with my host for foundation classes and for classes that lead up to that.
Yeah. I know I just did I've got, I think, three different hosts for upcoming foundation classes. And I just had the awareness the other day. It's like, well, we're all in a sense creating the same classes. I mean, yes, they're different locations, but they're the same, like it's foundation. So we had, I got them all together, and it was such a huge contribution. And the thing that I asked them to do was to kind of brainstorm and bring to the meeting 3 different ways that we could get the information out there, how we could be an invitation for consciousness, for access consciousness, for the classes, for our own businesses, because all of them have their own businesses also.
Yeah.
And we really looked at it from a different place. And it was so freaking cool. I mean, I have an entire page of, suggestions and ideas and stuff that if I would have had the meetings one-on-one or not even contacted them, it would have been totally different. So I totally get about having them with the classes that contribute to each other. I love that.
Yeah, and I want to say one more thing about it. As a facilitator, I also always ask about what are they creating, in the sense of their own classes, like bars classes. And on these calls, we also, make like a pool for their creations, because that's always, when they get happy, when they get like expanded in with their own creations, that's also contributing always to the other stuff that they are creating for somebody else. So that's also like, if everybody is happy, I'm happy.
Yeah. Yes.
And everything gets created. So that's excellent. What you said. Yeah.
And I know one of the things that I do, and of course, follow energy, ask questions. And most of the time when I'm invited to an area and we're going to have a bars class before the foundation class, I will usually ask the host if they're a bars facilitator to co-host with me. Yes. And it might even be their first class. But for me, it's like, just like you were saying, it's like, what if we can contribute to each other? Like, what if all of the classes, and no matter who's facilitating or what we're doing or where the class is, like, what if all of the classes that are going on can actually contribute to each other? Because, I mean, otherwise we're buying into the lie of separation and stuff. So I also look at that. How can I contribute to their business? How can this be, a contribution for all of us? And I'm just so honored that they would ask me in the first place. So it's like, how does it get any better to be also then co-facilitating bars or whatever class it might be?
Yeah, exactly. It's really, and it's always even more supporting of your class. It always goes both ways. It's a contribution you cannot contribute without being contributed. So it always creates more. When we include and when we create from like Kingdom of We, it always creates more than it's like, no, it's me. It's me.
This is my class. Yes, God, yes. So you use the phrase Kingdom of We. In case there's somebody listening who's not familiar, can you share what that is?
Yeah, it's like looking like what will create the most for everybody connected to this. What's the energy that will create to everybody, and I think that's it for me. It's like no brainer that it's like you facilitate from what you know will create the most for the whole team. Actually, it's whole team. And what I also saw, like the different hosts are starting to contribute to each other, with their own stuff. So it's like, it creates more consciousness in the world. Yeah. How does it get better?
How does it get better? One of the things that probably most of you listeners would be more familiar with is the kingdom of them, which means in the past, depending on if you've been using the tools or not, we're much more interested in making other people comfortable and having them, being about them. We're usually even more aware of what they require than what we require. And then, of course, there's people on the planet who do Kingdom of Me, which means nobody else is involved. It's just me. This is my class, and this is in my area with my clients. And they're usually not fun to play with at all. So when we talk about the Kingdom of We, it's really that place of everything and everyone, like Ivana says, like it's all of it. So anywhere that any of you have been functioning from Kingdom of Them and seeing more value in that than Kingdom of We, will you guys just join and create all that? Return it to sender with consciousness. Whew. Right, wrong, good, bad, online, bad, rock, shorts, boys, and beyond. Okay, so the class is light. You've said yes, you're having meetings regularly. What else? What other questions are you asking of your babies? What other questions are you asking of your hosts? What energy tricks are you doing?
So like when my baby class is crying like, nobody likes me. Nobody wants to play with me. Then I'm like mother lion, I'm like, what do I need to change here? And what I realized, I'm really willing to change stuff. I'm not, and that's my, for some people looking from outside, it might look extreme sometimes, but I'm willing to change venues, I'm willing to change hosts, I'm willing to change anything and everything to and sometimes I add people, but there were cases that I realized this is not creating, this is distracting the class, and I changed everything. I moved the class from one city to another, I changed the host, I changed the venue, and the class got double. So it's not usual, but when it's called for, I just do it, and that's something that I would do for a kid, like to take kid from one school and put it on another. If it's necessary, I'll do it, and if it's a class, I'll do it because I'm crazy. I mean, it's the same kind of stuff for me, and yeah, maybe I can say something from my past. My father was an architect, and I think I learned a lot of stuff about creation from seeing him design buildings, and when it wouldn't create more, he would just destroy it and start new. And that's it's the same energy that I use when I create the classes. It's like, when it's not working, I ask, like, what will work here, what will stand here, what will be. And I'm wondering what kind of word would work here. It's not like stable, but it's like, what will create more? What will be like substantial? What will add to the structure, or not even structure? What will add to the creation of this? So, and if it's like falling apart, then then I'm like, next. It's yeah. And the venues will totally tell you when they are not going to contribute, or when they are not when it's not going to create more for the class to hold it there, and you ask the venue, it will tell you. and so I had several experiences like that I called the venue, like, hey, is your contribution? No. Oh, okay. And then there is no judgment in communicating with venue, but they will tell you immediately, no, you better do it somewhere else.
So
yeah.
Let's just, again, kind of, because I know we have all sorts of listeners. This might be somebody's first time listening to something like this. So, when we talk about talking to a venue, tell them what you mean by that.
Yeah. How do I even start to explain it? I just connect with the venue energetically. I just connect with, especially when I was there already. There is already connection established. When I'm somewhere, then I can connect much easier than if I was never there. But even when I look at the picture, I can just connect with the energy of that space, of that place. And when you ask the question in that moment, your body will tell you. It's actually, you receive with your body. You receive either, oh yes, I'm going to be a contribution, it's going to be amazing, you will be sitting here and facilitating the class, and it will be all fun, and it will be, it will be so light, and please come, or what? And then your body will be like, okay, we have to find something else because this won't be as this won't create anything. So it's the willingness to ask a question and be so crazy, to ask a question about the building or the city, or mostly I really go for the space, and that may also be the connection to my father, that it's easy for me to to have this awareness of spaces and what they contribute and what they are willing to tell us. And now that I'm talking to you, I think the city would tell you also. It's just that it never came up to my mind that I could do it in that way. Yes. So countries and cities will tell you also.
Yes. And I know what I've done is when I've really desired to go to a specific area, like to facilitate a class, is I've actually talked to the country itself and just said, hey, would it contribute for me to come and facilitate somewhere in you? And if it's a yes, then I just say, then find the host bring
It's
them.
amazing. Yeah, I
So
totally love that. Yes, yes. I like hey country, what do you have for me?
yes, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh, that's amazing. That's so yummy.
Yeah. And I often, when I talk about talking to things and that, I often refer to it as communing. And
Yeah.
guys, I mean, we're talking about communing with the venues from a class perspective, but please know you can commune with your body. You can commune with your bank accounts. You can commune with your business, with your relationship. Like if you have like a marriage or a friendship or, something, you can commune with anything. Everything has a consciousness. So you can start talking to it. And another radio show that we'll link to in the blog is What the Fuck is Light and Heavy, because that will help you if you're not clear on your awareness, because you do want to you're utilizing your awareness when you're talking to things. And so as Ivana says, many people get awareness in terms of an energetic sense of like light or heavy, but a lot of times people don't. It's more of a knowing. So that radio show will go into and assist with those. And then, okay, so then what are some magic tricks that you do?
So like energy magic tricks?
Yeah.
How do I play? It's like it's really basic. I don't do a lot of witchcraft. I use some.
Here, I thought you were going to get out your hocus spells, friends. Damn it!
So what do we? I very often I do energy pool. Almost every time when I meet with the host, we do the energy pool for all the classes, for their classes, for mine classes, and often we do it like we roll it in one big energy pool, and so that's something that most people who have done a bit of access are familiar with. And it's also something that that in my opinion it creates a lot. It really starts the energy when it's completely blocked and when it's not moving anymore, and it's something that always adds more. So energy pool is really something that I use often, and that I even use internationally for other facilitators for their teams. Like with energy pool, there is one thing when working with hosts that not many people that I see that not everybody gets, and that's you have to find a way to make them present. There is no use of doing energy pool when people are not there, and a lot of people, the moment you start to pull a little, they go away. So with the energy pools, I make them short and really I connect with the energy of the class and connect with the energy of the host, and I connect with like everything that we already have for the class. And so it's really practical and really condensed. And then the whole pool, it's quite short because I want everybody to really be there and really be creating. And then when it's, when that part is done, it's done. It's the done deal. And the pool is creating, the pool will never stop. But I don't want people to fly around and me pulling. Yeah. It's crazy. I really want this to be team work, and then it really creates for other people also when they perceive the energy of the class and they connect to the energy of the class. That's what's creating, in my opinion. So that's what makes pools, and that's how I worked for other people before I had my host. I was the one conducting the pools for the teams of other facilitators, and that's what I always found more valuable, is that people are really present. So maybe to make it shorter, but to make everybody to or at least most of the people really present with the energy of the class. That's what I see. Sometimes it's like everybody, when I do it like with the groups of huge people, sometimes I learn people to the energy pool, like group of 50 people or 100 people on a Zoom. Yeah. And when people start to fly around, I'm like, this is no pool. Let's stop this. Let's get back to our bodies. And so that's something to keep in mind, that not everybody is as present as you as a facilitator. So you want to create some kind of frame for your host to be able to follow the energy of the class also.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Would you be willing, before we end, to take us through a short energy pull?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I've got a few more questions, but right before we end, we'll do a short one so that we can be present. It will be a challenge maybe for some listeners, but I love that. I love the energy of the presence with it. It's not something that I don't know that I've ever really been aware of, so I'm excited about that. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so if you had a class that wasn't receiving registrations or at the rate that is usual for you, what would you do? What are some things you would do?
Yeah, so I really look at what energy can I be? You know, the questions like what energy can I be to change this? And then I look at what do I have to change? What do I need to change? What is it that I'm not aware of? What do I have to change? And what can I add? So it's really simple, and it's like no-brainer. Of course, I connect to my house and I ask what they are aware of, but I also look like what is it that I'm aware of, and very often it's connected to me as a facilitator, and sometimes it's one of the hosts that that's like contracted because of any kind of stuff. So I do energy pools. I also do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with my host. And I also ask my host, especially hosts for the foundation classes, when the energy gets tense and when the energy gets like, I ask them to run demon clearing, and sometimes that's thing that creates like more space for them when they are like bothered by all kinds of stuff flying around. That's sometimes something that really creates more ease and more space for them again to be able to. So one thing that I ask my host, anytime you don't feel comfortable, anytime you go to the contraction, anytime that stuff is not flowing as smoothly as we would like, please contact me the very same moment. I don't want you to walk with it. I don't want you to talk about to think about it. I don't want you to talk about it. I just want you to call me, and then we will have a look at it, and we can change anything, but we have to, we have to communicate. There has to be contact, and anything is changeable, and classes that seem contracted can get large again. But yeah, communication is really essential in that.
I love that. I love that. And this might be different anytime I asked you, but what would you say is the number one thing that stops class creation?
Yeah, anytime when either the facilitator or the host goes to conclusion, like this is why it's not working. Yeah, then you create that, and it might be anything. It might be anything. It might be about the concurration or competition. It might be about the venue. It might be about promotion. It might be about anything. But any conclusion that you create gives you the reason to not to create class as a bigger, as a greater, and it's always lie. It's never true. Every time you come up like this is what it is. Yeah, bam. Then you have it. There you have created your limitation. And I mean, we all know this from access consciousness, and still in the creation, we very often bump into, like that. So that's something to have a look at, and even that you can change, but you have to be willing to look at it, change it.
Yeah. And I just wanted to reminded me, you mentioned a couple things like the energetic contributions, demon clearing. So again, guys, in the blog, we'll have links to radio shows where I've discussed those things too. We could probably talk to Ivana for a week, but we don't have a week right now. So I just wanted to make sure if you're looking for more information about that, you can find it in the links in the blogs to other radio shows. So again, this is something. So tell people how many people you have next week in the Czech Republic for your classes. Brag, my sweet.
You want me to brag?
I want you to brag.
Excited. I'm so excited. next week in Czech Republic, I fly to Prague and I have facelift class there, and that's 40 people at the moment, and I think that's what the venue can can have. So I never had class of 40 people, so I'm so excited. This is the first one of this size, so I'm really so happy. And I know that in Czech Republic we can go even bigger. In Czech Republic, when I create, it's crazy. And then from there I fly to I go to Brno, and there I have foundation, and that's I think 24 people at the moment, and I have evening class. That's we stopped by 24 because the venue is too small. But there are more people who would actually like to come, so we will have to squeeze. I know there will be more people. We will just have to squeeze.
Yeah.
I
love it.
It's fun. It's nice.
So with that, because I know a lot of times we don't even know that we have capacities with certain things because it's so natural to us. And I know even when I talked to you in Rome, it was kind of like, what are you talking about, Glenyce? Like, don't be so silly. And like, you just kind of had this energy of like, everybody does this. And I'm like, bitch, no, they don't.
I love talking to you.
Because I'm one of them that hasn't chose that yet. I mean, sometimes I'll have classes of up to 30 in foundation and such, but not on a regular basis. So what would you say that you're willing to be or do that most aren't?
Yeah, well, it's in the communication with the class, in the connection straight with the class, but it's also the willingness to change anything that doesn't work. It's the willingness to listen, not just listen to the awareness, but to act on it. It's not like, oh, I know this is not going to work, but it's like, okay, so what will work here? So what will work here? Yeah, so it's those two. You have to like really listen, and then when then act, then really act on it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know when I listened to your and Alan's call, and I'm excited because you guys have another one coming up. So I'll get you to share.
Another one, yes.
People need to be on this call. But when I listened to the one you guys did earlier, what I really received from you in what you were sharing in that call was the demand you were willing to be. Now, I might be mistaking the story, so you might need to help the listeners out with it. But there was something around, and I think this was hosting. You weren't doing your own classes yet, but you were hosting a body process class, and the guy always had a certain number of people because that's how many tables he could get. Can you share that story? Because that was where I received the biggest energy.
Yeah, it was like he was trying to. The facilitator was trying to make it easy on me. He was like, oh, but. Like 8 people or we can get five massage tables, so it's okay. It will be 10 people. I was like, no, massage tables are not a problem. I will get massage. And the funny thing is, massage tables in my class is they always come. They come with the people. There is not the problem with the massage tables in my head. and bodies want to be there, so the tables will be there. Duh. And I don't even drive a car. The funny thing is, if I would have to bring the tables there, I'm not even able to.
Yes.
So I'm lucky that my husband is always willing to support anything, any kind of crazy creation that I do. He will fill the gaps. But massage tables are not a problem if you don't make them a problem.
Yes. And so what I want to point out to the listeners is, and again, I don't think you even are aware of this, is you're like, the bodies want to be there, so the massage tables will be there, duh. But honestly, Ivana, I really would like to acknowledge you because that's not a duh for most people. Most people don't have that demand in their universe. They go exactly what that guy was doing was, well, we can get 5, so then we'll have 10 people, right? And also as a side note for all my North America and probably Australia listeners, depending on the country you live, Europe, there's a lot of people in Europe who have really strong points of views about tables. Because in Canada, I can throw like 4 in my vehicle that I own because I've got a huge house to store them in. It's super easy. Everybody pretty much has their own table. Like, we don't even have to think twice about it. In Europe, there's these points of views Obviously, Ivana doesn't have them because she can outcreate them.
Right.
Yeah, and doesn't can't even get them there if she so that's why we talk about like massage tables and bedding is often facilitators are renting them, and so it sounds, but I mean look at what happens when you don't have the point of view. Ivana is showing you when you don't have that point of view what you can create and what's actually possible without a conclusion. Like, hey, actually I know that there's more than 10 bodies that would like to come to this class. So the massage tables will show up. Of course they will. So anywhere you're not willing to be that demand in your classes, in your business, in your bank accounts, in your life, in your living, wherever it is, we just destroy and uncreate all that and return it to center with consciousness. Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, POD, shorts, boys, and beyond. So
and
thank
just
you.
ask for the people who bring massage tables to come to the class. That's what I do.
Yes, exactly.
Make it easy.
Make it easy. Oh, all right.
And people often do.
Go ahead.
People often bring their table, so
they're always happy to contribute.
Yes.
Like yes, people are so happy. Okay, so the Glenyce Show has something called an Insider Club. If you're not part of it, you guys, come and join us, come and play. But I asked them, I told them I was interviewing Ivana, and I said, what questions do you have? I think that we've covered the majority of them. And I'm going to ask these couple anyway, just in case there's anything different that pops for you. What unique questions do you ask to create your classes? Is there anything different than what you've shared? And totally cool if not.
Well, sometimes we are like looking what kind of class wants to, what kind of class wants to contribute to the foundation class, for example. And then I ask the host, like, what is your awareness? What would contribute in your area? What is specific for your area? What I can facilitate there? Like, not, I'm doing this class about food, so let's do the class about food. No, what would contribute? The people that the people that you are aware of. What would be the contribution to your area specifically? So make it up around about the area also, like try to connect to that will create the class also. So that might be one.
Yeah, no, I love that. I do that too a lot of times, especially if it's, if they're open to any class, because sometimes people they just want foundation or whatever, and we ask questions and that's fine. But sometimes it is like, hey, I would just love to host you. What would you like to offer? And then I'll chat with them and see what the area is asking for. And then what do you do differently from what this reality considers the right way to create classes?
Yeah, I'm willing to be judged for changing things at the last moment and for switching the venues and adding the hosts and doing. I'm willing to be judged. I don't care. It's my baby.
That is going to be something, and I mean, I'm going to take a million things away from this, and thank you so much. And that baby piece, like the energy of that is something that I've never actually, it just, I haven't chose that. So I'm really excited about that piece because it makes so much sense. So yeah,
and I see people see that as really extreme. When they see what I'm willing to change and where I'm willing to go, they are like, okay, this is not okay.
Yes.
But that's what mother would do.
Right? And I mean, and my question would be to them, do you have 40 people in your facelift class? I don't think so. And of course, something, we don't have much time left, but I just want to touch briefly on this. Of course, numbers don't matter. Consciousness is consciousness and it's great. And there is, to me, an honoring of ourselves when we look at what works, what will create more. What else would you say to that, Ivana, in terms of numbers?
Well, to me, it's funny because the show is, of course, about creating the classes, but to me, it's not about numbers at all. I really connect with the people, and I connect with all of them, and my body also connects with all of them, and it's about consciousness. It's not about people, but if you work for consciousness will support you, and it will send you the people. So it's if I didn't think like I will create classes of 30-40 people, but I like to contribute to those people, and I do connect with them, you know, in a close groups, like to share stuff and to, you know, to inspire them. So it just continues creating. And yeah, the another energy that really creates and that we didn't mention is it's gratefulness. You know, it's thankfulness and gratefulness. And when I see like those people in Czech Republic, there is a little known about Access, and they are so grateful. And I'm so grateful for them to have this hunger, you know, for more. So
Yes.
it's also something that if we focus on what are we grateful, then that will always create more. It's a nice energy to end up in.
It really, really is. Okay, so before we do the energy pull to finish with, can you share the call, the information? How would people find out about how to get on that call with you and Alan?
Yeah, the call is 31 July. It's about creating. It's about accelerating your creation. It's about creating with the speed of light, with the speed of space. And so I think it's on Facebook. It's between my events and Alan's events, but we
And I can put a link to it in the blog.
That would be
too.
amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Betcha.
So, and if they send me an email, or if they send me a Facebook message, then of course they can get it from me also. Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Awesome. So will you lead us through, if this was something that the listeners could use for their own classes?
Yes. Yes. So I would invite everybody to really like connect with the energy of their own class that they are creating already, or with the energy of their anything sessions or anything. If you have a class, just have a look at the energy of that class and have a look at what is already there. What is already there and what is already working? Like, do you have a very nice, do you have a really nice venue? Do you have a really nice host? Or if you are a host, like what kind of energies are there already for the creation of the class that are already in play? Is the facilitator amazing? What kinds of qualities does she or he has? What kind of energies are you playing in that are already in place? And connect to that, yes. And then what we do with the energy pool, we take like empty, ball of energy, and we put all these yummy energies that we are already familiar with in it, and then we add all kinds of energies that we would like in the class, like inspiration, like ease and joy, and maybe the gratefulness that we were talking about, and what kind of real light and expansive energies would you like to have, and like care and nourishing, nurturing also for bodies. If you are doing like foundation or body process class, what kind of energies would you like to add to your creation to make it even more inviting, to make it even more yummy? And once you have done that, you can pull like all kinds of energies, all the energy from the whole universe to your ball. So your ball was like this big, and now it's getting even more and more and more and even bigger, and it's like really, really expanding, and also like really present. It's like really full. There is lots of energy in it, and then you pull more and more energy from the whole universe in your creation, in your ball. And the next step that we do is you send a little trickles of this energy to everybody looking for the class. And not just everybody looking for the class, but also to everybody who will contribute in the creation of the class. So like thousands, maybe millions of trickles of the energy all over the place. Yes. Okay. And let them also come back to you, or let them come back to the Facebook event. Let them come back to your host. Let them come back to any kind of places where they can find the connection to the class. And you can send those trickles to like everywhere, to the places, to the entities, any kind of energies that you are familiar with and that you work with. You can let contribute to the class. And everything that doesn't allow it to be ease, Good and bad, right and opposite of all natures, both and beyonds. And of course, once you're going to open your eyes, the energy is still going, the energy is still flowing. It's not like it will stop. So that's the way I mostly am. I just leave it trickle and pull and trickle and pull, and then everybody is like, what was the English word? Gasping?
Yawning.
Yawning. Yeah. And there is a lot of energy that moves with creating with a team. For a particular creation, what you do is you also already open up the energy, and you also kind of put the unconsciousness that's around it aside. You go all the way through it. So that's why I love energy pools.
Brilliant. Awesome. We are at the end of time, and I just want to thank you so much, so much for taking time to talk to me and share your brilliance with the listeners. And guys, go and check out that creation with her and Alan, because they together are extremely awesome.
Alan.
He is amazing. So thank you so much. What is your web address quickly?
My website address is www.accessivana.com. Real easy. Access Ivana.
Cool. Very easy.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks so much. I'm so grateful for you, and I'm so grateful for you listeners. Thank you guys so much. And I look forward to chatting with you next week.
Thank you.